On behalf of the Center for Functional Nutrition, which is Megan Moore and Russ Mariani and Brian Mariani and Evan Mariani, we welcome you all here. We've been doing a virtual coffee house since I think late March, as a response to our wonderful pandemic, as a way to stay connected with the people we love and some of the teachers we love. So welcome everybody, and thank you for being here. Our mission is to better people's lives and to be a force for good in the world. So we will be sharing our very special friends and teachers this morning with you, Ani Tuzman. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Megan. Megan will introduce Ani. Go ahead, Megan.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. And it really is a pleasure of mine to introduce Ani Tuzman. I've known Ani for a number of years. She's been a writing mentor of mine and also a good friend, and we've actually performed together at our winter solstice Ani.
There we go.
Ani is an award-winning poet, writing mentor, and author of The Tremble of Love. And I must say, I'm holding this book up. You can see that it's very dog-eared, and it's dog-eared because every December I pick it up and I've read the book 2 times all the way through, and then I just pick it up throughout the winter because the character, the people in this book are memorable for me, and they've become companions and penetrating so deeply into their lives. And so I've gotten to know them very well over the last few years. And so I thank you, Ani, for this book. It's really been wonderful for me. Ani grew up in a backroad chicken farm, the daughter of Holocaust survivors. At the age of 8, she began writing to an invisible companion, filling page after page with her questions about a world darkened by the shadow of the Holocaust. But there was also the ecstasy of the rain, the dance of the willow in the wind, the stars illuminating the night sky. Writing about it all in the silent, unconditional embrace of nature became Ani's path to light. And so without further ado, I wish to hand this coffee house over to Ani, and she will lead us in a writing exercise. Ani?
Thank you. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Russell and Brian, for having me today. And thank you, everyone that's here, gathered here. It's an honor and a joy to talk about something that I love so very much and value so very much, the practice of journaling. And before I go on, just please feel free. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, as long as you're right like that, Ani, it's good.
Okay, if you can't, let me know and I'll speak up. So I love journaling so much that I could lead a week-long workshop on journaling, at least probably. Today, of course, with our time frame, I'm going to be distilling. And to help me do that, I have notes. So if you see me looking down at times, that's why. So that'll help me stay on track. And Megan has already posted a link to some free resources that you can find on my website. And I'll say a little more about those later on at the end of this conversation or this presentation. So Megan shared in the invitation she sent out that I would be talking about the what, the why, and the how of journaling. And I shall. In my own fashion, and these being a weave, the 3 of them. What I hope above all to convey is what a remarkably transformative, self-loving, delicious, and sublimely healing practice journaling can be. And to say that in a way that's particularly relevant perhaps to this community, healthy digestion can be enhanced not only in the gut, but also, I would say, in the process of metabolizing our experiences in love with a capital L. And I want to credit Matt Licata, a wonderful depth psychologist, with that phrase, to metabolize in love. I've known that experience for decades, but I didn't have those words for it. And I heard him say them, and I'm grateful for that way. And I'll say more about journaling and metabolizing a little bit later. I want to begin by saying why I'm calling this short presentation the shelter of journaling. And by shelter, I'm not talking about a place to hide, but rather a refuge, the way that meditation is a refuge, a time and a place to rest in the heart, to be present, to rendezvous with one's full self and the fullness of life experience. No holds barred, all of it. And I also chose the term because collectively and individually, we've been in a time of sheltering in place, which makes this a particularly good time, though any time is a good time, to cozy up with one's journal, to meet oneself in that quiet, accepting embrace. And the shelter we can find there is truly the shelter of one's own inner love. As we write our way through whatever is presenting itself within us and in our world. And that can seem to change like the weather, storms or storms that never happen, like this recent one, or storms that do happen, the clearing, the sublime weather, and in rolls another storm. Journal writing can lead us deeper into our experiences, whatever they are, and into the presence of the compassionate witness within, the reservoir of our own self-compassion and compassion for others. And one of the things I most appreciate about journaling deeply is how it can help us make our way to compassion. And on top of seeding and nurturing compassion, journaling can help to summon the presence, the stamina, the loving kindness, the creative responses, the action that times like this call for. So a few years back, as I was preparing a workshop, much longer workshop about journaling called The Secret Powers and Joys of Women Journaling, late one night in bed, a few weeks before the workshop, journal on my lap, I posed the question to myself, almost like a dare. So what is the power of journaling? It was late, so my mind was, I could be free. So I picked up the journal and I just wrote whatever came in response to that question. And I want to read that to you. Journaling is not just moving my pen across some paper. It's a meeting, a rendezvous with a beloved companion. It's an act of loving respect for myself. Journaling is self-inquiry, meditation, prayer. It's showing up to listen to me, to find out why the urge to cry, why the butterflies in my belly. It's deep asking and deep listening. Writing in my journal is giving myself an adjustment, just like when I go to the chiropractor, or used to, and have my spine helped back into alignment. When I journal deeply into my truth, I give myself a spiritual adjustment. Journaling is connecting with my soul. I invite my soul to speak to me, and it does. Through the instruments of my mind and body, through my pen making words on the blank page. Journaling is stopping in the midst of chaos, even if the chaos is mostly in my own mind, especially when it's in my own mind. I journal my way to the eye of the storm, through my vulnerability to my power. Lost, I find my way to acceptance, to forgiveness, to love. I meet myself in my own heart. Journaling is deep, quiet joy. I journal to make my way home to my heart again and again. So before I continue, I just want to ask each of you, when you think of journaling, what word or phrase comes to mind? And it does not have to be whatever, spiritually, emotionally, journally correct. It could be boring. It could be not interesting. It could be anything, anything. So if something does come to mind and you have access to easily put it into the chat, a word or a phrase or more than one, I invite you to do that. Anything, just let it rise up. Don't need to overthink it. Just anything that comes, however loosely connected it might seem. Just what comes up when you think of journaling or hear. So it's great. So self-reflection, don't want to do it. Honesty is so good. Gratitude, again, self-reflection, truth, challenging. Thank you. I don't know if I missed anyone. Let's see. Impatient, clearing my emotions, recording memories. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Journaling clearly can be lots of things to lots of people. And including for some, and certainly along the way, there were times when I needed to revitalize my journaling practice, and I'll be talking about that. So boring, sometimes people have said, or a should, as in I should keep a journal. Or for some, it's primarily a place to complain, and which is fine, to blow off steam, to vent grievances for what can't be safely expressed elsewhere. Some people, as does Russell and has for years, he has shared, keep a dream journal. Some people keep a dream journal of their living, waking dreams of what they wish for themselves, for their work, for their creativity, for their lives. So many ways. Some people use it as a place to take their own inventory, kindly or not so kindly. So there's so many gratitude journals, so many uses and practices. Years ago, at a time that was extremely challenging financially in my life, as a single mother and running a business and lots of other things, I got a shiny purple journal, like a royal purple color, and I named it my wealth journal. And I just wrote all the riches in there that money really can't buy, like the sunset or the breeze. And this was a dedicated journal to the riches. And it was a remarkable process in many ways. In the workshop I mentioned before, a musician spoke about her using her journal to find and free her voice so that she could talk more authentically about her music. She had a new CD coming out, and it was not alive what she was saying about it. So she used her journal and did various things with herself in her journal to find a way. She even interviewed herself to make it more alive. Another woman in the same workshop said that she realized what she was doing in her journal was babbling. Those were her own words. And after a few minutes in the workshop, she said what she realized was that she needed more silence around her journal writing. For some people, for example, they journal write after they meditate. And she said she wanted more silence so she could listen more deeply to herself and go to a deeper level. And many in the group nodded in agreement. I remember when she said that. And also, it's okay to do whatever. So you have my promise that I will not be shooting on you today in relation to the right ways or the wrong ways to journal, or even that you should journal. I just want to offer a vision and hopefully an experience of the possibilities and gifts of journaling as a rendezvous with your own inner love, with that compassionate witness. In my experience, to rendezvous intimately and regularly with that inner compassionate witness is one of the greatest healing and most vitalizing experiences we can invite into our lives. That meeting, making time for that encounter. So a little bit about what married me to journaling. Some of us were fortunate, some of you, I hope, were fortunate enough to have somebody, as when you were a child, who listened, who made and held space for you to be sad, confused, to ask questions about the world. Someone who, perhaps when you were frightened, consoled you. Someone able to hold space for you no matter how you were showing up. Maybe not all the time, but some of the time. Many of us, as was my case, did not have that experience, not nearly. So I see someone nodding their head or shaking their head as well. And so for some of us, those adults were preoccupied, they were wounded. They didn't really know how to truly recognize and respond to their own inner needs, much less ours. So Megan already said in the introduction, I grew up on a chicken farm in a very anti-Semitic backroads part of all places, New Jersey, go figure, but it was. The neighbors, the neighbor children and the children in school had never met a Jew. And my parents were Holocaust survivors. And they were instructed to not talk to me or play with me because I was a dirty Jew, capital D. Notes were flying, all sorts of, so I learned those words very early on. On the school bus, they checked my hair for horns every day because their parents told them that Jews are the devil and devils have horns. My parents survived Hitler's Holocaust, as I said. No one in my mother's family survived, one brother in my father's. So my parents suffered from PTSD long before the word was on the map, or the understandings and insights that accompany that word and that understanding. And my mother also suffered some mental illness. So my own life circumstances initiated me into my own trauma. And because my parents' losses were so unfathomably unbearable, and I saw that in how they were day to day, I came to feel that I had no right either to be sad, how could that compare to what they went through, or to be happy. Or to have feelings like I don't want to play with my sister, or I'm angry at my mother, or all sorts of feelings. Like I love reading more than I love anything, including my sister. So lots of taboos. And I honestly don't know if I would be here, or at least as intact and in love with life and happy to be alive as I am, if it weren't for journaling. At the time, I called it writing in my diary. And in my diary, I wrote all the secrets I couldn't tell anybody. I wrote to Shem, maybe some of you know, it's a Hebrew name for God. It means the name. It's an affectionate name for God. And I believed that Hashem was extremely busy with more urgent things like starving children and people in car accidents. But I trusted that when Hashem was done, he, which is how I thought of it, would connect with what I'd written in my diary. And I knew he would care. And that was everything. My diaries and later my journals offered shelter. Somewhere I could come as I was and shamelessly express all my feelings, fearlessly. But even there, I had to learn little by little to allow those feelings to come out without attacking them or attacking myself for having them. I've had to unlearn self-abandonment. And journaling has been a steadfast companion in this learning. So all my life, writing has offered abiding companionship. And the choice to draw close to myself through writing still includes being willing and vulnerable enough and open enough to turn to what's stirring beneath the surface of my life, in my gut. Often the rendezvous starts with me being aware of discomfort and yearning for clarity. Sometimes it's not discomfort, it's great joy. Often it's discomfort. I scratch out or tap out on the page words that carry, often awkwardly, my thoughts and feelings, my not knowing, and my inner knowing. Sometimes prayers. As I slow it down, I become aware of a compassionate listener, the witness who doesn't judge, just receives. As the writing continues, what starts to come through my pen is the deeper wisdom, the wisdom of my innermost self, what some call the soul, the heart, the self with a capital S, the witness, source energy, Christ consciousness, that deeper unconditioned self and unconditional love. I feel joined, or I should say, reminded that I never was alone. Like happened when I was 7, with my back against the willow tree. There's relief, there's gratitude, there's a feeling of coming home to myself that I felt then and I feel now. And what I've learned too is that, and this comes back to what I said earlier about there not being someone for some of us who could hold us and hold our experiences, we can do that. It's timeless. And I've been learning this more and more. We can reach, time is really one big now, and we can reach through time to listen, to bear witness to the child. Even if what is being written about isn't the direct experience of the child, it lingers in different ways now. And so we can reach across time and be there for that young, vulnerable, tender child and the vulnerable adult, maybe 5 years ago, who went through a challenging experience. And it's not about dwelling in the past, it's about healing the past and freeing the energy to move. And it's one of the amazing gifts of journaling, how it moves blockages, how it moves energy, how it refreshes and revitalizes. And I'll let you, there are metaphors here with digestion everywhere in how we digest our experiences. And they turn into energy, just like food does, that digestion process. So in that deep holding, in our opening to our experiences and our receiving and listening, the metabolizing happens. And that it's processed, the experiences can be processed and transformed into the energy that's the fuel of love that nourishes our lives. So I'd like to offer a short writing spark. I call it a writing spark. It's going to be brief because of our time frame. maybe 5 to 7 minutes. You don't have to worry about time. I'll sound a gong, but let me introduce what it is and say the spark I'm going to introduce is I see you, and I'll explain a little bit. What I want to say before that is you don't have to use that spark. Anything, I'd suggest try moving your pen or your fingers on the keys, whatever, for the time, but whatever comes, comes. So I will suggest something. You can try it. If you aren't moved to try it now, try it another time. And there's no wrong way, there's no right way. What comes, let it come. If you get stuck, you might want to just write what I really want to say is, and go from there. Forget grammar, forget punctuating, forget all of that. Sentence fragments are as awesome as whole sentences or words down a page. So let me tell you about I see you. Among the greatest gifts of life is being seen and really seeing. This is a spark you can use. I use it multiple times a week. So you'll write or type, I see you in a moment on top of the page. This seeing is a kind of X-ray vision. So it includes seeing what's being felt, not just an outer seeing. So you might choose to tune into a moment or a scene that has strong energy of any kind. Could be past, present, future, could have been this morning. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. For example, it could be now. I see you in your chair, hand on your knee, wishing the pain would subside. I would suggest including some physical details as well as whatever else arises, because it kind of grounds it. And the I see you, as I said, I see you trying to catch your breath. So it could be see, feel. You might be brought to the child you were, just a scene that recurs perhaps. I see you hiding. It might be that you see someone else, known and beloved or not known to you personally. Some examples that came up, I see you through the window of the nursing home, or I see you being held down by the police, not able to breathe. You might see the earth, a flower, a pet. As you're writing, just stay close to the experience. Stay close to your body. Stay close to your feelings. Okay? So go. It's not a race, but go. So we have about 30 seconds left. If you can bring your writing to a place where you can pause. Thanks for playing. I wish if we were in a writing circle, a Dance of the Letters writing circle, there'd be an opportunity for anyone who wanted to, never an expectation, because the writing is for you, but there would be an opportunity for anyone who wanted to share. We can't do that today, but if you are moved to, find a trusted soul with whom to share if you want. And also Megan will be putting my email address into the chat, and you're welcome to email me to share maybe what you've written if you want, or to ask any questions. So we're almost at a time of closing. I just want to say a little bit, this spark, a little bit more, just this spark and others like it. I see you, I am listening. Even what are you feeling, sweetheart, to yourself? Just, it's amazing to just sit down. What are you feeling now, sweetheart? You can, there's no right or wrong, as I've said, but even simple phrases, even, hey, how are you? Where you're both the one sharing the experience and the one receiving it. And and so the key is to stay close and listen, to stay close to yourself as you're writing. And to allow, and to be honest, to be unguarded, to be courageous, to be foolish, to throw a tantrum, and to listen. So I want to just really briefly say something, moving from metaphysical to practical. And the bottom line with that is different folks, different strokes. So one size does not fit all. So fancy journals, if you like that, awesome. Cheap notebooks. I know someone, I think it might have been Annie Lamott or somebody, you know, can only do those like little spiral notebooks with Mickey Mouse on the cover. Computer file. Russell just held up a journal. There, Pat's holding one up. Whatever, really, whatever works and adds to the pleasure. Because even if we're writing about difficult topics, there can be immeasurable pleasure in the release and in the experience. Julia Cameron, many of you've heard of, wrote The Right Artist's Way and a bunch of other fantastic books. She suggests morning pages, 3 pages every morning, with filling them with whatever, uncensored. That's great for some people. It's not great for other people. So whatever works, just keep it fresh and dynamic. And so I just want to encourage you in closing to engage with what I think is a spiritual practice of journaling. Because when we're engaged in any spiritual practice, the benefits are not just ours. And awareness, consciousness, awakeness, illumining and releasing our fear, our pain, illumining our longing for justice, our love, and whatever else we discover on the path of writing into the heart contributes to a more enlightened collective consciousness. And boy, do we need that. And we're all part of it. And journaling can be an awesome, awesome part of that. So I want to say just very briefly, you can find resources, more resources about journaling, and also, and Megan put the link in the chat. And also you'll have my email, so if you can't find anything, you can ask me. There's, for example, there's 30 days of writing sparks on the website. and they're free, and you don't have to do one. They're delivered daily automatically, but you can stockpile them and use them whenever you want. And they all can turn in, they're not specifically journaling sparks, but they certainly can be used that way. I also invite you warmly and hope you'll, if you're moved to, you'll join it. You can go to my website, which is myname.com, and you'll see the link as well, to join what I call my inner circle. And if you do, you'll automatically receive chapter 1 of the Tremble of Love, a really big taste to audio and print. And also you'll just know about other things that are happening. I do not email often. That's an overstate, whatever you call it. But I do sometimes, and usually the content, it's always content rich and hopefully in some inspiration. And one of the things that's forthcoming is a podcast, my first podcast called Harvesting Love. So if you're in the inner circle, you'll find out about that. So I don't know, we maybe don't have time for questions. What do you guys, or we do?
Yeah, we are coming to a close, Ani. If there's anybody with a burning question, please go ahead. Otherwise, I know that Danny Shanahan is also with us, and he's going to bring us to a close with either a song or a poem. So Ani, do you mind just giving everybody your email, because I'm not sure which one. Is it the Ani Tuzman at
Ani at danceletters.com. Yeah, I can put that in actually, maybe. If
okay. So otherwise, Ani, you are so generous with yourself and what you give to us, and the joy and life that you manifest, you know, is really wonderful for us all. So thank you so much. The rendezvous that we had with ourselves through the writing exercise it's priceless. It's rich. We're wealthy. I mean, count our blessings with the richness of this exercise and with your guidance. And I know I've received many of Ani's sparks, and no, she does not send out newsletters often, so you definitely will not be bombarded. And whenever I do get Ani's newsletter, it moves my heart, and I'm always grateful. So thank you, Ani. And I see Danny is here. So I'd like to give the Zoom Sunday Morning Coffee House and to Danny, and he will close for us. So thank you, Ani. Danny?
Yes, good morning, everybody. And I just wanted to say thank you, Ani. That was so nourishing. I'm sparking, as I'm sure everybody. This is a poem called "The Dancer," and it's in my collection of Lotus Seed poems at lotusseedpoetry.com. Megan can send that out to you. There is a dancer whirling in ecstasy in the ballroom of the heart. There is a dancer whirling in ecstasy in the ballroom of the heart. And when I enter, she spins in her gown of grace, teaching me the dance of letting go. She's been dancing long before you and I were born. As she turns, night becomes day, day becomes night. She hasn't missed a step since that first dance in the temple at the beginning of time. She hasn't missed a step since that first time in the temple at the beginning of time. Listen, you can hear her feet beating in your own heart, in your own heart, in your own heart. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Ani. Thank you all. May your lives be blessed with the richness of this time. And I think that's it. Goodbye.
Thank you, Megan. God bless you, dear. God bless you, Russell.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Russell.
Thanks, everybody. Everybody's unmuted, so you can say a collective thank you to Ani and thank you to Danny. And wonderful
Thank you,
Sunday,
Ani. Thank you,
everyone.
Danny.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Love
Thank
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank